Don't rock around?
Yeah,
Okay.
if you're shifting your weight, it might tweak, so.
Okay. Should I just read?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jonathan Judd, and I'm a judge in the 7th Judicial District of the state of Minnesota, and I would like to welcome each and every one of you to the Fargo Public Schools All-Staff Event. Today is the day that we will be celebrating you in all things Fargo Public Schools. I would like to send a special welcome to the folks that are viewing this virtually from your respective schools, as well as the staff that are sitting here today at Fargo South High School. I will say that it is an honor, and I'd like to thank Dr. Rupat Gandhi for inviting me here to MC today, and also giving you all a keynote, because it is a homecoming for me. Fargo Public Schools, specifically Fargo North, and of course, hopefully no one takes offense to the fact that I'm wearing the Spartan colors. We're celebrating everyone, so we're putting all rivalries aside, because in essence, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be the person that I am if not for folks in Fargo Public Schools. And honestly, I think, again, this is a well-deserved celebration, and we have a great couple hours packed that are going to celebrate the achievements and the accomplishments of folks who do the work that they love that benefit all of us in our community. And I want y'all to be sure that it's going to be good. And I want you to check out from anything and everything that is going on outside. Take a breath. And honestly, folks, celebrate. You deserve this. 2020 has been a tough year for everyone. And I want y'all to relax and enjoy what we have in store for you this morning. Now, as we move on, I would like to introduce the Air Force Junior ROTC and also the national anthem that's going to be sung by Fargo Public School students. With that, ladies and gentlemen, will you please stand and remove your hats for the presentation of the colors in the Fargo Public School Air Force Junior ROTC under the direction of Colonel Stephen Muse, Chief Master Sergeant James Gibson. The color guard team is commanded by Cadet Parker Liedall and accompanied by Cadet Kaylee Hopp, Cadet Nicholas Borowski, and Cadet Justice Johnson. The national anthem will be sung by the students of Bell Orso Voce of South High School, directed by Sarah Lickblau.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed
Now I'd like to introduce the student performance. It's a musical performance by, again, South High School's Bell Orso Voce, Over the Rainbow, and Axel F.
Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly, they fly. Birds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh, why can't I? If happy little bluebirds fly above the rainbow, why, oh, why can't I? Why can't I? Do 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 do
I would like to send a special thank you and a special shout out to the Air Force Junior ROTC and Bell. Okay, just want to make sure. I thought I heard something. Bell Orso Voce for the presentation of the colors, the national anthem, and for their vocal performance. So folks, that's why we do the work, right? We do the work because we're building tomorrow's future, and the future is bright because of each and every person that does the work in Fargo Public School Districts. It's all about the students, and it's beautiful to see that you all are doing a fabulous job in building a better, stronger community through these students. So again, thank you for your work. I also want to send a special shout out, because I don't want to forget this, to Mr. David Wilhelmi and his crew of students that are putting together today's presentation. And they're doing a fabulous job. So again, a special shout out to Mr. Wilhelmi and your fabulous crew of tomorrow's leaders. All right, it is now my honor to introduce the next speaker on today's program, Superintendent Dr. Rupak Gandhi. Dr. Gandhi is now in his 4th year of leadership of the Fargo Public Schools. So here's the thing, folks. Dr. Gandhi and I have a very special relationship. And as you all know, for everyone in this community and throughout our country, as I alluded to earlier, 2020 was pretty tough for everybody. Dr. Gandhi relied on me, and I relied on him, because that's what it takes, is partnerships in the community to make sure that we're taking care of people. And as I've learned in my short political career, that not every decision is going to make everybody happy. And I admire Dr. Gandhi from the bottom of my heart, because in times like these, you need strong leadership. You need to have open, candid communication. And it doesn't matter where you work and what you do. You have to establish those relationships in order to have tough, candid conversations for the betterment of the people that you serve. And that's the one thing I will always admire about Dr. Gandhi, and I look forward to continuing a fabulous working relationship and a friendship with him. So without further ado, Superintendent Dr. Rupak Gandhi.
Six feet. 6 feet is extremely versatile, whether you're using that term as an instrument of measurement or, colloquially speaking, as a metaphor. I think prior to COVID-19, we've all heard the term 6 feet to represent mortality or to represent being overburdened by work by saying I'm 6 feet under. As a Houston Texans fan, to me, 6 feet equates to 2 yards, which for some reason that I cannot comprehend, my team, even in the 4th quarter on a game-winning drive or a game-tying drive, will punt the ball instead of thinking they can accomplish 6 feet of progress. During COVID-19, 6 feet took on a whole new definition. 6 feet became the definition of social distancing, and as almost everyone here and watching knows, it became one of the standards on which we use to contact trace. Throughout the last year and a half, plus some, I always thought to myself, I'm never going to be able to disassociate 6 feet from meaning contact tracing, from meaning social distancing, and ultimately COVID-19. However, that's really not true, because although I dealt a lot with COVID-19, 6 feet over the last year and a half became to me as a measurement of inspiration, a measurement of progress, and ultimately a reminder of why we are here and the work we do. And that's because of a student here at Fargo South High School. You see, I get the privilege of working with our Board of Education to sit in our board meetings and make decisions that do impact this school district, this staff, and most importantly, our students. Over the last year and a half, as Jonathan Judd alluded to, some of those decisions have been controversial. We've seen more divisiveness in our community. We've seen more vitriol. We've seen passionate parents, which is something that we always engage in and something we always encourage. However, the beauty of having those meetings in our current, and we're moving, Fargo Public Schools boardroom, is that we also get to surround that room periodically with pieces of student art. And right where I sat in my chair next to the board president, 6 feet to the right on the wall, always from my right peripheral, hung this painting that you're about to see on the screen in front of you. This painting was completed by Morgan Reed, student here at Fargo South. Every time I look at this painting, it was a reminder for me for the year 2020, but it was also a source of inspiration. I learned more from Morgan than I probably learned as much as I've learned about COVID in the last couple of years. Because when I see this painting, I obviously know that like with any work of art, there's going to be artistic expression, but then their audience, who is me in this situation, also gets to interpret that piece of art and how we want to interpret. As I look at this painting, which is, I'm assuming, a class assignment for Morgan, that's now, fortunately, she sold it to me for the summer, so now it sits in my office about 6 feet from my office chair. I get to look at many different things. The first thing that comes to mind for me is the mask. The mask, which has been the most controversial mitigation strategy over the last couple of months. Something that can tear our community apart, something that takes over social media. But when I look at it through the lens of our students, representing a year of COVID-19, she made the conscious choice to depict a portrait that had a mask that said good vibes only. And that reminds me of why we're here in the work that we do. If our students can be optimistic, why can't we? The second thing that to me was integral was that this wasn't a self-portrait. I've seen a picture of Morgan in Power School, and this is not what she looks like. She chose to represent a student that's wearing a hood, and that to me speaks volumes. Because a hood, traditionally, in our society, has been depicted as a sign of poverty. It's been depicted as a sign of criminalization, and it's allowed classism to exist in our society. Morgan depicted a student that's wearing a hood as a part of their identity with no other lens, and to me, that is instrumental. This summer, the administrators in Fargo Public Schools made a conscious decision to revamp our dress code policy and recognize that hoods and hats are permissible. That was done because we recognize that although traditional institutional knowledge of what a hood and a hat can do can lead to some negative perceptions of students, in our society in 2021, it represents student identity. It is a part of their culture, and it is a part for us to be able to build a relationship and not create more division between those that we serve and those who we're here to represent. So to me, Morgan's teaching us about the identity of our students and why we're here. Lastly, I look at the eyes in the subject of this painting. The eyes to me show a look of determination, not a look of despair, though you have gray skies behind you. We can't sit here and predict that we're not going to have challenges ahead. That's part of public education. That's part of what we do. But if we can also recognize that if our students are determined to progress forward, so can we. So I'm grateful to be able to lead our district, to serve our staff and our students, but I also recognize that our students are here to teach us as much as we can learn from them. So I'm grateful for this painting, which I now have, but all of the pieces of student work. And I also recognize that to be able to do this work, students have to have a safe space. They have to have a safe space where they can feel valued, they can express themselves, their individuality, and most importantly, they can pursue an education to be successful down the road. It is the members that are in this room, the members are streaming this video across our district, that create that safe space and that opportunity for our students. So thank you for being the ones to allow our students to grow and prosper in a way that can inspire all of us the way that they inspired us. Those members are classroom teachers, they are school administrators, they're support staff within our students that remind us every day, and as we move forward, why are we here? And we're here to serve students. Some of those members were recognized for their efforts last year, and I get the privilege to introduce them as our future speakers and our next speakers as part of today's all-staff event. So without further ado, I'd like to call up our first speaker, Miss Brenda Fisher. Fargo Public Schools 2021 Support Staff of the Year recipient Brenda Fisher joined Fargo Public Schools in 2001. In her time with us, she has served as a paraeducator, clerical support staff member, and an instructional resources library assistant. She has served the district as a human resource absence manager since 2013. Brenda's nomination for Support Staff of the Year included high praise for her work ethic, and positive attitude. Please welcome to the stage Fargo Public Schools 2021 Support Staff of the Year, Brenda Fisher.
Good morning. Welcome back to school. I hope the start to your school year is going well. I could not have done my job alone, and I want to start off by thanking the staff who nominated me, my HR team, the admin assistants, principals, and all the kindness that each of you show me every single day in my interactions with each of you. This was a great honor to be selected as Support Staff of the Year. I was very surprised, but greatly appreciative, not only being nominated, but being selected. I have had the pleasure of working at Fargo Public Schools since 2001. During this time, I have served in a few different roles, starting as a substitute, then as a paraeducator at Eagles Kindergarten, followed by a library paraeducator at South and Davies, and currently the HR absence manager. In all my roles, I have been privileged to work with a variety of staff at all levels and in a wide variety of positions. As a parent and employee, I have always found the FPS employees to be professional, dedicated, caring, and amazing individuals who I am honored to work alongside with. This has also led me to meeting and having lifelong friends. I would not be the person I am today without the people who have supported me in my various roles throughout the years. What a different and challenging year each one of us has had. But we all rose to the challenge of our dedication and commitment to all students. Every single one of us is worthy of an award. In my current position, I am privileged to interact and get to know many different employees across the district. I have an unique perspective, and that I see all the different people around our district and how they work together to bring our students the best education we can. Every day, I see your dedication, your desire, and doing what you do best. I see our leadership team making decisions, leading our district, keeping our schools safe, and making sure all students have equitable opportunities. Our leadership team strives to do what is best for our students, staff, and community, even when making the hard decisions. I see our building administration working diligently with teachers, students, and parents. They actively strive to meet the individual needs of staff, students, and families, going above and beyond to meet these needs and supporting their staff to do the best job they possibly can. I see our teaching staff working tirelessly and their dedication to their students. Every one of them works their hardest to create a learning environment that is safe, engaging, and meets the needs of every student in their care. They work hard building relationships with students and empowering them to become life learners. I see our maintenance and transportation staff busy preparing our buildings, keeping students and staff safe, the many building and maintenance projects, and navigating bus routines to make sure kids safely ride the bus and get to school on time. I see our support staff doing all they can to assist our teachers and building personnel with helping students succeed. They are the ones often in the background, supporting the needs of both students and staff and giving them the tools they need to be successful. I see our nutrition department preparing many nutritious and delicious meals for students and meal pickups. They feed over thousands of students and staff daily, which is an amazing feat. They provide the basis for the strength our students need to be successful in the classroom. I see our IT department making sure every student, teacher, and staff member has the technology and resources they need to successfully learn and work. They not only provide the resources, but more importantly, they provide the support for those resources so they can be used successfully in our classrooms and enhance student learning. I see our district office staff providing all the different supports to effectively help schools and staff run efficiently, from answering questions, managing, hiring, working on community partnerships and relationships, to managing educational materials and supporting staff learning. These individuals keep our systems running smoothly so students can continue to learn. I see special ed, EL, providing the life lessons and a welcoming environment for all their students. So many of our students need extra support to be truly successful in school, and these individuals ensure that they have the resources and support needed to learn their best. I see substitutes providing continuity for our students and opportunities for our staff so our schools can remain open. These individuals go into our buildings and do whatever is asked of them, helping out with all manner of tasks and duties so that students can continue to learn. All of these, plus many unique areas, all come together to create these incredible opportunities for our students and schools. I am blessed to be part of this FPS family. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I look forward to continuing working together, doing and seeing what we do best, educating and empowering all students to succeed. Thank you and stay safe.
Fargo Public Schools 2020-2021 Administrator of the Year Andy Dolan has served Fargo Public Schools for nearly 3 decades, joining FPS during the 1993-1994 school year as the North High School principal. His nominations for Administrator of the Year described him as a champion of Fargo Public Schools and North High School, and someone who cares deeply about all the staff members and students. While he retired from his principalship at the end of the 2020-2021 school year, he is currently serving the district as a Choice-Ready Manager in Career and Technical Education. Please welcome to the stage the 2020-2021 Administrator of the Year, Andy Dolan. And as he makes his way to those that might not be able to see in the Fargo North community they're live streaming, he is wearing a Bruin lanyard, so just wanted to point that out.
Yes, I am wearing a lanyard. I've got the mask of a Spartan in the University of North Dakota, so I'm hitting a lot of good parts today. I would like to thank Dr. Gandhi and the selection committee for recognizing all employee groups. It's a humbling experience, and I'm honored to receive this recognition. You know, a long time ago, when I showed up for the first day of teaching, I don't think I could have imagined that 40 years would go by in the blink of an eye. It seems like yesterday that my wife took a picture of me leaving our rented duplex. It was very similar to parents taking a picture of their son or daughter going off to kindergarten. The only difference of her taking a picture of me and today's is that you guys posted on Facebook. I had my teacher's editions of Algebra 2, Geometry, and 7th grade math books under my arm, and I also had my red grade book under my arm. I had a plaid suit jacket. We all wore plaid in the day. I had a mustache and a full head of hair. And I was a few pounds lighter. Things have changed in education, and especially the pace. Today, we send and receive text messages at a frantic pace. We receive Saturday phone calls from building principals about events that happen on Friday night. And as principals, we receive text alerts about students vaping in the bathrooms. By the way, Travis, could you remove me from that text alert? We have computers and telephones on our desk. We even have telephones and smart boards in our classrooms. And today, of course, we have higher expectations because we better understand how students learn. Early in my career, we believed that a normal distribution of grades was okay. We'd have some A's, we'd have B's and C's, we'd have occasional D's, and we'd have some F's. And we were okay with F's. We were okay with failures. But today we believe that all students can learn. But what we've known all along is that teachers and counselors, certified and non-certified staff, make a difference. On Saturday, I attended the North High School Hall of Fame event, and each of the inductees who are graduates of North High School talked about the teachers who made a difference. I want you to make a difference in the lives of all students each and every day. Elementary, middle, and high school students need you. The recognition of an Administrator of the Year really symbolizes resiliency, not just of myself, but of the school community and every administrator who worked so hard to adapt this past year because of COVID. The quality of schools cannot exceed the quality of our teachers and counselors, certified and non-certified staff, our human capital. We are truly at a pivotal time in public education. We have seen that we are more malleable, and we're more adaptable, and we're more innovative than we could have anticipated. And we need to leverage that innovative spirit to push forward and ensure that every student, regardless of any external factor, receives an excellent education each and every day. As was mentioned, after my retirement, I found a part-time job managing a grant that prepares or encourages students to become choice ready. We want graduates to have the flexibility to be prepared for an ever-changing world. It includes students being post-secondary ready or workforce ready, or military ready. And for students who take the alternate assessment to be life skills ready. We want students to have essential skills and have multiple options following graduation from Fargo Public Schools. All of our employees can make a difference in the lives of our students. I want you to be that Hall of Famer for all of our students. Again, thanks for listening and have a great year.
Fargo Public Schools 2021 Teacher of the Year Jessica Magnuson joined Fargo Public Schools in 2006 as a language arts and science teacher at Carl Ben Allison Middle School. She is currently the literacy partner for 6th grade staff members, course captain for 6th grade science and writing, and department chair at Carl Ben Allison. Her nominations for Teacher of the Year described her unmatched work ethic, profound belief in all students, authentic approach to student-teacher relationships, and desire to continue her own education. Please welcome to the stage Fargo Public Schools Teacher of the Year, Jessica Magnuson.
I am grateful to be here with all of you today. It has truly been my pleasure to work for Fargo Public Schools for the last 16 years. As a young college student pursuing my teaching degree at MSUM, all I could dream of at the time was being hired as a teacher in this district. At that time, Nancy Jordheim was the Director of Human Resources. I remember reaching out so many times by phone, emails, postcards in the mail. And during my spring year of my senior year of college, I drove to a teaching job fair in Minneapolis. School districts from all over the country were represented at this job fair. Many of my classmates came with stacks of resumes, but not me. I drove to Minneapolis with one single resume where my written objective was to be hired as a teacher in Fargo Public Schools. It was the only resume I brought with me, and I drove to Minneapolis to personally hand-deliver it to Nancy Jordheim at the FPS booth, just one more time. And here I am all these years later, living out that dream of teaching in Fargo Public Schools. There's no better job than being an educator, and I'm honored to serve my community in this way. To the teachers, administrators, and support staff at Carl Ben Allison Middle School and across the district, thank you for doing what you do every day. Thank you for caring so deeply about the students and working tirelessly to help them succeed. I learned so much from all of you, and I'm grateful for the dedication you show to your students. I also want to thank Dr. Gandhi and members of the cabinet, school board members, for the work they do to ensure the needs of the students in our district are at the heart of all decision making. Thank you for your leadership. In addition to my work family, I would also like to take a moment to express gratitude to my husband and our two amazing boys, Kellen and Cooper. Kellen and Cooper, I love being a teacher, but the best job in the world is being your mom. And being your mom has made me a better teacher, and I also know that being a teacher has made me a better mom. And to Travis, thank you for always supporting me and valuing the important work that teachers do. That important work that teachers do is full of ups and downs, highs and lows, successes and failures. We live in a culture that values success, but I believe it's the stories of struggle and failure that are the most important stories to tell. And boy, do I have way more of those. So today I'd like to share with you a story about one of my most recent struggles that ended up having a profound impact on the way that I view learning. This past winter, I fell and broke my wrist. It was awful. I knew immediately that it was broken because it looked crooked, and it was numb and full of pain somehow at the same time. I ended up needing surgery, and I now have a plate and several screws in my left wrist. After my surgery, I went through several weeks of wearing a splint and then a cast before eventually starting physical therapy. My wrist had been immobilized for weeks. It was basically stuck in this neutral position. I had no range of motion and was very weak. At my first appointment, my physical therapist informed me my goal was to be able to bend my wrist 60 degrees forward and 60 degrees back before I would be exited from therapy. Considering I couldn't move my wrist at all, it seemed like an impossibly hard goal. And not only was therapy hard, I felt like everything in my day was hard. Taking a shower, fixing my hair, getting dressed, helping my kids, laundry, cleaning, cooking, driving, typing. As far as I was concerned, I was failing at everything and was feeling very lousy about myself. It took several weeks before I even just started to see a little bit of progress. Even though I was working incredibly hard and doing my exercises, there were weeks when I only made a 1-degree improvement in my range of motion. 1 degree was not enough. It was a far cry from the 60 degrees I was working toward. I was crabby, irritable, and sick and tired of everything feeling so hard. I had never really felt this degree of struggle before. I had experienced challenges, and as a teacher, I actually enjoy working through challenging tasks. But now I was in the position of a student and not a teacher, and this felt very different. I was struggling, and I asked myself, are the awful feelings that I am experiencing similar to how some students feel at school every day? Like everything throughout their day is a struggle? Like they're working extremely hard but never seeing the growth they want? Like it's hardly worth trying when you're so far behind? Eventually, I realized I'd been viewing all of my 1-degree improvements as failures when I should have been seeing them as growth. When I started physical therapy, I asked myself, how in the world am I going to get from where I am today to where I need to be? And each new school year, I stand in front of my students and ask a similar question. How am I going to take this group from where they are to where they need to be? And I think the answer is found in these 1-degree moments, the small but worthy improvements that lead to success. Breaking my wrist caused me to struggle, similar to a student being asked to do hard things. I needed an expert teacher. I needed someone who took the time to give me specific feedback, someone to tell me my effort would eventually pay off, someone who didn't lose faith in me, even when I didn't do my therapy homework like I was supposed to, or when I wanted to quit. Someone who noticed my growth, even if it was only 1 degree more than I could move the week before. I needed all of those things that you all provide to your students each and every day. You take the time to give that specific feedback. You never lose faith, even when they don't do their homework or they want to quit. You notice the growth, even the smallest 1-degree improvement. This is how you take students from where they are to where they need to be. Through my struggle, I learned the value of these 1-degree moments. They're tiny, they may be hard to see, but I know they are there. So don't forget to look for them this year, because the 1-degree moments matter and they are worth celebrating. Thank you.
It is my distinct pleasure to now introduce and welcome to the stage our keynote speaker, Mr. Jonathan Judd. Before I bring him to the stage, I know Jonathan had the ability to share a few words earlier, and he couldn't be more right. In my 4 years in Fargo Public Schools, I have leaned on Jonathan both in a professional sense, and he's become a close friend as well, because he has been a leader in our community. Everything I've seen Jonathan do, and that's now 3 different roles since I've moved to the city of Fargo, as the mayor of Moorhead, a director of equity and inclusion at M-State, and now a judge, has always been through servant leadership. I often use the phrase Fargo Public Schools family. You've seen it in my emails. I consider us a family. Jonathan makes his entire community feel like a family, and that goes a long way. As someone moving into this community, being able to look at who the leaders are, who they represent, and what do they stand for, is something that I truly admired. And Jonathan rose to the top of that list. Jonathan, as I said before, has had many different roles. He's successful in everything he does. He's been a director of equity and inclusion. He's been a mayor. Now he's a judge. I honestly think he could probably be a special team coach for the Vikings and probably do a good job too. I made this joke prior to the win yesterday, but don't get caught up with one win, so I thought it was still important for me to say it today. Without further ado, I'd like to bring to the stage my colleague and friend, Mr. Jonathan Judd.
Thank you. I'm going to borrow the podium just for a moment, and then I'm going to slightly move over here because I'm one of those that likes to move around. And I much need to do that after running this past weekend, because it was a chore, to say the least. All right. I told y'all it's going to be a fun-filled day. We're celebrating all things Fargo Public Schools. And I'm going to tell you that, honestly, the work that you do has made such a great impact on my life. And I really mean that. And I'm going to share with you a brief story. And it's not going to start well, but it's going to end great because of the fact that you folks were in my life when I needed you right away. So let's segue into the topic of what I wish to speak on today. And forgive Frederick Douglass, because I'm sure when the quote was made, it was a little bit sexist, but my thought is, if he were here today, this would encompass everyone in an equitable fashion. It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. So, the short version, I am a fellow in the Minnesota Education Partnership. And I had the ability when I was serving as mayor and also as the Equity and Inclusion Director at M-State to be a part of this fellowship where I was surrounded by a lot of educators learning all that I needed to know or should know about education, funding, teaching, community resources, and the like. With that, I had the opportunity to go to Washington, D.C. about 2 weeks ago and visited all things about our country. Part of those things were to visit the World War II Memorial. Also had the opportunity to go to the National Holocaust Museum and the National Museum on African American History. Also had the opportunity while walking through D.C. to see the other side, the homeless, folks that are sleeping on the street, asking for money. And I thought to myself, it was kind of an epiphany. How did those people get there? How did they become broken? So in looking at the topic of my address today is, what can we do as a community? What can you do as educators? What can I do as a judge to make sure that we save as many folks as we can later? How can we invest at the front end with you all on the front lines doing your work so that when they come before my court and my colleagues' courts, that we don't spend more time and resources trying to fix them? Before I forget, I do want to take a special shout out to dedicate this message to Joan Humphrey, Terry Jellison, Hebe Shipp, Bruce Larson, Dave Heidi, Gary Mayu, Mike Lestina, Bill Conway, Betty Kearns, and Ed Raymond. Because when I moved up here, I was broken, folks. And I made it a point to keep it from people because I was ashamed of being broken. So, for the first time in 30 years, it has been 30 years that I've been up here, because I moved up here on my own with no parents when I was 17. And everybody at Fargo North was asking, why are you here? Why are you here? You know, what made you come up here? And I was ashamed to tell them. Everyone thought I was trying to be eventually playing for the Vikings. That didn't work out very well, but neither was it expected either. But I'm going to disclose why I came up here. My family was broken. Other than my grandparents who gave me what I needed to be nurtured, my mom was a victim of domestic abuse for years at the hands of my biological father. When that got cleared, then my stepfather not only was a domestic abuser, but he was also chemically dependent. Mornings I woke up with a little brother and sister having to go into a bathroom where I probably got a contact high, but also having to clean up after the white powdery substance and residue so that my little brother and sister didn't have to somehow inhale any of that. And I got permission from my mom to share that story because I'm vulnerable. People appreciate that. People appreciate the fact that you can tell your story with confidence. The first person who knew that was Mr. Mayu, because in order for me to play football, I had to make sure I didn't move up here because I was some, crazy athlete in that, being recruited to move here, which was one of the rumors that were out there. But it was weird having to share that story with people because I knew without football, I didn't have a family. I needed to be and wanted to be accepted, but I didn't want to have to publicly tell people the embarrassment that my family isn't like your family. These teachers stepped up. These educators, these folks that were in the Fargo Public School District, and I'm only naming a few, there are a lot more. They stepped up to help repair me. They believed in me. They took the time to nurture me when they didn't have to. That's what you all do, and that's why you're great at what you do. That's why I say put all the stuff that's going on outside, that's outside of our control, away and breathe. Don't let the criticism of some of the parents that you may face break you down. More than likely, based on what I see when they come to my courtroom, it's a call for help. It is a call for help. And what you do well and great is each and every day you are building people who may not feel comfortable sharing. You may not have the relationship with those students and those families. But that's what you do every day, and that's what you should celebrate. You are building strong children by the work that you do, and that's why teachers, administrators, support staff, bus drivers, you're salt of the earth. And I truly mean that from my heart, because if not for you, we would have many worse off folks that are broken. I share my story with pride now at 48 years old than I did when I was 17 because I was embarrassed and ashamed. You may have students every day that are feeling the same way. I know we ask a lot of you in society. You're psychologists, you're sociologists, you may be even legal experts. You're communicators. You do a lot, and we ask a lot of each and every one of you in education. But please don't, I want you to know that it doesn't go unappreciated. You've been asked to pivot, you've been asked to step up, you've been asked to work outside your hours. It's emotionally draining, and while juggling your own family thoughts and concerns that are going on. I encourage you, like I have done, to find healthy ways to continue the work that you're doing. I encourage you, build relationships. As a former family advocate for the truancy program, I saw nothing more fascinating than sitting in, believe it or not, a pod meeting or an IEP meeting. It's beautiful to see teachers and staff at work with the school social workers, the community liaisons. What can we do? It's like an art to try to find what you can do to get to a child and to a family, to make the education the most focal point. And you do it well. You do it great. So then, with the few minutes I have left, everyone wants action steps, right? Because they look for, well, what do we need to do? You know, how do we continue to build these strong children? How do we try to lessen the likelihood of being broken so that they don't have to come into the legal system? It's what I did when I was mayor and what I continue to do now and what I've learned from these teachers. Build relationships. Check in with each other. Check in with your students with the little time that you have. I sometimes hear 40 cases in a day when they're being sentenced, sometimes 30. But I got a few minutes to make a little impression and coach. I'm a football coach with youth football, coach up that person in the time that I have. Have candid conversations. I know from living up here, not a lot of people, this is kind of a passive-aggressive area, and I've had to acclimate a little bit and tone down, how I communicate and learn from it. But you have to build strong relationships in order to have those tough conversations so no one leaves feeling like they're a bad person. Back to the basics, folks. Last but not least, take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. We can't continue to do this hard work that you do if you don't have the time for yourself with your families. It's okay to check out. It's okay to let go. We need you around for the long term. 40 years. That's the reason why we're here, folks. You're building a stronger future for families that I come from, but for the entire community. You're visionaries. It's okay to be idealistic. I haven't forgotten. But folks, honestly, if not for Fargo Public Schools, if not for these folks here and numbers more who told me I can be somebody, anything that I want, I could go to law school, I could go to college, even though I was the first to do both. That senior year at Fargo North, if not for that senior year, who knows what would have happened. Don't ever think that the most time or the little time that you spend with students will not eventually make a difference. Because Fargo Public Schools, the staff, the teachers, the administration, and I was not any on those texts. If they would have had texts, I was on the straight and narrow because I had these folks holding me accountable. And that's why I dedicate this talk to them and a number of others in our community, because this is because of the work that you all do. I got a timer because I stay on time. I come from down south, so I've had to sit through a lot of, shall we say, sermons in church that my grandmother never wanted to miss. But I do want to just tell y'all, honestly, the work that you do is important. Please, as you move forward, stay healthy physically, stay healthy mentally. Your families need you. Your students need you. Your colleagues need you. Your community needs you. And I want y'all to go out from this day forward to know that. If there's one thing you get from this conversation, it's that you are appreciated. Your work matters. Other than moving on to the next part of our program, which is to thank each and every one of you for attending today, and also, again, knowing that you have a mission. Keep building those strong children. Keep building, keep doing the work that you're doing so that, again, we're not going to completely eradicate it all, but it doesn't mean that we can't try to fix and invest in our children. So with that, Godspeed, have a great day and the rest of the year. Congratulations to our award recipients. Thank you for your time.